The 14 playoff era is over, and it's time to look ahead to the 12-team playoff, the very first 12-team playoff. It's coming in 2024. What's going on, YouTube? This is SG1 Sports, and you're watching our college football channel. Some way too early playoff predictions here. We're going to go through all 12 spots. Got my brand new graphics ready to go here. And again, it's way too early. I'm sure I'm going to change my mind on a lot of these teams. Don't even know what all the rosters are going to look like, but as it stands right now in early January, this is how I'm expecting it to go. And again, I know that my predictions are going to change. They're going to look a lot different. I had Notre Dame and Penn State in my way too early predictions last year. Didn't have either team in there once we got to the preseason. So let's jump in here with the bracket, and we'll start. I'm just going to start with go 1 through 12. Now, the original agreement was for the top 6 conference champions to be in the college football playoff. I believe they're going to push that back to 5 now that the Pac-12 is done. That has not officially been, it hasn't happened yet, but I think they're going to, so that's how I'm doing these rankings. If they don't change that, you're going to see 2 group of 5 champions actually in the college football playoff, which would, honestly, that'd be a bit of a disappointment. The way college football has changed, I don't really see any group of 5 teams being able to compete. With UCF and Houston and Cincinnati, they went to the Big 12, SMU now in the ACC. So you don't really, there really aren't any teams out there that I think are going to be able to compete. So anyways, we're going to do that. We're going to go with the 1 group of 5 team. The 5 conference champions will be in here, the top 5. So we'll start with number 1. That's actually Alabama, and it's not necessarily how I would rank the teams, but looking at the schedules and very early looking to see how things could play out. I think their schedule sets up really well. I think I don't even know if we'll see Georgia in the SEC championship because their schedule is so tough. But if they get there, maybe it's Georgia here. So Georgia, Alabama, to me, that's kind of the battle for that 1 seed. And I'm going to go right now with the Crimson Tide. The number 2 seed for me is Oregon. I've got Oregon winning the Big Ten. I think they'll be the 2nd highest ranked conference champion there at number 2. And so now you look at the ACC and the Big 12 for these next 2 spots, because again, your conference champions are going to get these byes, and it's tough. I mean, it's really tough to predict those 2 conferences right now. I think both of them are wide open. I'm going to go with Florida State. As of now, I know they lose a ton, but they bring in some guys in the transfer portal. DJ Uiagalelei steps in at quarterback. And I don't know. The ACC, I think they're going to have a lot of good teams, but there's really not a team that I think is going to be great. I think Florida State right now has to be the pick. You could maybe go with Clemson. You could maybe go with Louisville to get back. They got to the ACC championship last year. Maybe it's a dark horse team. Hard to predict, but I'm going to go with Florida State right now. And again, kind of a safe pick here. I'm going with Arizona in the Big 12, a team that finished with a ton of momentum. I look at Arizona and Utah potentially being the front runners in the Big 12. You also got to look at Kansas State, Oklahoma State, some other teams that maybe have a chance. So that one's wide open. I think it's the most wide open of the 4 Power 4 conferences. I'm going to say Arizona wins it. And again, we're talking about potentially a 3-loss team getting the number 4 seed. That could happen. Or a 10-2 type team. Arizona, though, for me, they are number 4. So let's go to the at-large teams now. We start with Texas. Texas at number 5. Could see Texas, Alabama in the SEC championship. I think that's a very real possibility. Again, Georgia has a really, really tough schedule. So Texas there at number 5. They're my top at-large team. And then at number 6, we're going to go with the Georgia Bulldogs. So Georgia sitting there at number 6, which means out of these top 6 teams, I've got 3 of the 6 teams actually coming from the SEC. So Texas, Georgia at 5 and 6. Then we go to number 7, Ohio State. The Buckeyes, again, you look at how they've improved on defense. I think the offense will get things figured out. They'll be good enough. Maybe a chance to get to the Big Ten championship game. I like the Buckeyes. I think they sit there at number 7. Then we go to the number 8 team. That, to me, is Michigan. So this one's close. Ohio State, Michigan. Right now, I'd probably go with Ohio State in that head-to-head matchup because of the home field advantage, and that could be the difference in 7 or 8. It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun just looking at all these matchups and the new conferences and the 12-team playoff. There's a lot to really break down. And, again, this is very early. My predictions will change, but this is what I've got right now. The 9 team for me is Ole Miss. I think the Rebels maybe even get to 11-1 in the regular season or 10-2 again. Maybe get to the SEC championship. I think they're going to have a really good year. They've got a lot coming back. They've added a lot in the transfer portal. I got the Rebels sitting there at number 9. Then we go to number 10, Notre Dame. I think Notre Dame has a chance to get into the college football playoff. The schedule's not all that tough. This is a team that I think absolutely can get to 10-2, take that next step forward, maybe even 11-1. If they're 11-1, perhaps they're ranked a little bit higher. But I've got the Irish at number 10. I think Notre Dame gets into the playoff, and we'll see them play Ohio State, who they played the last 2 seasons. That could be interesting there. Number 11, Penn State. Penn State has a pretty favorable schedule. I think they have a really good shot to get back to 10-2. A lot of weapons coming back for them. I think this is going to be a good team. Perhaps they could be in the Big Ten Championship. I'm telling you, it's wide. Both the SEC and Big Ten conference races are really wide open when you look at who could get to the conference championship games. There are like 4 or 5 teams in each conference that have a really good shot, maybe even 6. Number 12, so I haven't done any research. I'm just going to go with the team that was pretty hot to close out the year, and I'll say they win the Mountain West. I'm going Boise State. Again, there's really absolutely nothing to back that up. I just, I thought about picking Liberty. I don't know. Boise State for the heck of it. Again, this is way too early for a reason. I will give you a lot more information as we get further into the offseason, and we'll have better predictions and that hopefully will be more accurate. And again, they got more accurate last year as we went through the offseason. You can go back and look at all that. So this is how I see the bracket right now. Again, this is going to change, but I think Ole Miss could possibly beat Michigan. We could get Ole Miss, Alabama, an SEC matchup there in the quarterfinals. Texas, I think, would win easily over Boise State, probably over Arizona as well. So you might see Texas, Alabama in the semifinals, perhaps on that left side. And then you have Ohio State, Notre Dame. That's a toss-up. Maybe go Buckeyes as of right now. And then maybe a rematch of the Big Ten Championship with Oregon and Ohio State. If Oregon is as good as I think they're going to be, maybe we see Oregon advance from there. Georgia, I think, probably would beat Penn State, at least right now. I think they beat Florida State again. So you could perhaps have Georgia, Oregon in the semifinals there. So maybe Alabama, Texas, Georgia, Oregon. And if that plays out, we could potentially see Alabama and Georgia in the national championship. Even with a 12-team playoff, we could see that matchup once again. We've seen it many times now, both in the SEC championship and again in the national championship. And it wouldn't surprise me at all if we see it again. In fact, those are my top 2 teams in my way too early top 25 rankings. So a lot of different ways this could go. It's going to be so much fun to project this 12-team playoff, especially as we get into the season, because there's going to be so much movement. And it's going to be crazy with the ACC and Big 12 champions getting the 3 and the 4 seeds. So you could have, let's just say, hypothetically, Arizona goes 10-2, and everybody beats up on each other, and Oklahoma State's at 8-4. They play in the Big 12 championship, and Oklahoma State wins. You could have like an 8-4 team in the top 4, and I think a lot of people will complain about that, but it'll be interesting whether it's good or bad. It will be interesting, and there will be a lot on the line late in the season, and that's why I think this actually makes the regular season better, because you're going to have games that really would not have mattered before matter a whole lot. And I can't wait to see how it plays out this first year. These are my predictions, though. I'd love to get your predictions. How do you see the 12-team playoff going as of right now? Let me know down in the comments below.